What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Too Much Test podcast, episode 14. If you're on the YouTube channel, you notice we're wearing the same clothes as episode 13. We are actually clean, hygienic people, but we are recording 2 episodes so that we can get this out throughout the month of December and enjoy our Christmas. So what's going on, guys? So if you're watching this on YouTube, we're on all the major platforms. If you're listening to this, we do have a YouTube channel so you can see our beautiful faces. I am joined with Sam Stolt. You can find him on Instagram and YouTube under Sam Stolt. I'm also here with David Demesquita. You can find him on Instagram, Dynamite_D, and on YouTube, look up David Demesquita. So what is going on, guys? How are you doing?
Long time no see, fellas. What's going on?
Yeah, this is like deja vu for me at this point.
Yeah, we took a 5-minute break and did another episode.
So right before we jump back on here, you had mentioned we were talking about caffeine consumption and how you actually drink caffeine throughout your day in like microdosing for your caffeine, but that you said if you take too much, you go hypo. Can you?
Yep. So I've noticed this throughout my life, and you were mentioning like you drink coffee this late. It's what time is it? Like 7:30 something, 7 o'clock. Anyway, and so basically, if I drink like a large amount of coffee, what probably most people would consider like a cup and a half, 2 cups, at one time, pretty quick. For the most part, if I'm just on a normal day, I'll feel good and I'll feel up. And then I start to feel hypoglycemic. I feel like, I get that shaky hand feeling. I start to feel warm. I sweat. And I actually have a bottle of honey, which if you haven't bought honey in a long time, that shit's expensive. I don't know if that's just inflation or whatever, but it was like $4 for like a freaking little thing of Walmart honey. And so, I've had times where I'll drink too much caffeine and I'll have to like stop at the gas station and buy like a fucking Snickers ice cream bar. And I just like pig out until I start to feel better. But I found that the honey works pretty well. I'll just squirt a little honey and it seems to help.
Wow. I've never heard that.
So I have a very similar feeling to that when caffeine's coming out of my system, where I would go hypoglycemic pretty easily. But on paper, it doesn't cause blood sugar crashes. It causes blood pressure issues, which is kind of weird. And that's what I was going to ask next is, have you ever taken your blood glucose when you felt that crash coming on? I personally haven't. I think I did one time, and my blood sugar was actually okay, unless if it was continuing to go down. Like I think I was in the low 70s maybe after a workout or something like that. But then when I ran my blood pressure got low from the workout, which that tends to happen anyways. But it wasn't super low. So I think it was actually a blood pressure issue more than a blood sugar issue. But I will say I used to keep honey on hand as well, because when I felt the calm down, the honey would make me feel better, interestingly enough. But I haven't ever been able to pick up on like a hypoglycemic blood sugar reading, one that happens from caffeine.
Yeah. So I've felt that before, but only when I'm taking, say, like 1,000 milligrams at a time. If I take my pre-workout lately has been green or black tea. So I don't know whether it's at 30 or 60 milligrams, 100 or 200 milligrams of a caffeine pill, and then a scoop or scoop and a half of pre-workout. Like far too much caffeine, definitely don't recommend it. And I think it's got 150 milligrams of caffeine per serving. I'm sorry, 250. So I'm taking far too much caffeine for my pre-workout. Whatever that comes out to be, like 500 milligrams of caffeine, 600 milligrams of caffeine for my pre-workout. And I don't notice that. But 10 years ago, if I would take a gram of caffeine, I would get that type of feeling. But I didn't know what it was, because I was like, there's no interactions that I know of that cause that. And I thought it was something to do with like my stomach at the time, because my stomach, I noticed that I felt that way. Like I have too low blood sugar, but I noticed that my stomach fell off. Do you guys have that same, did you notice that? Did you ever get those?
I never really noticed any issue with my stomach. For me, it kind of brings on a feeling of anxiety, like heat. I feel warm, sweaty, and then the shaking. And, what's interesting is that now that I was just thinking about this, when I was in high school, I never used to drink really caffeine. And I think someone brought like No-Dos to school. I think, I don't know what's exactly the milligram of caffeine in no-dose, but I remember taking one and feeling that. And I was just thinking about that. So pretty sure when I was in high school, I was fairly healthy. So I wouldn't think it would be like a blood pressure issue or anything like that. But yeah, I've noticed it. It's happened multiple times. And I've even posted on my Instagram, I've broken out in hives from caffeine. I bought caffeine pills that had, I think they were 100 milligrams a piece. I bought the lowest dosage you could get because I know that caffeine can fuck me up. And I took one pill and I started feeling itchy, and I'm sitting there scratching myself and watching TV. And my wife's like, "Holy shit, you're red as hell." And I look in the mirror, and I went and got Benadryl, and it took it away. And not too long ago, I drank a full energy drink throughout the day, got home about 5 o'clock, and I took a couple sips of a rain and started getting that itch, and took a Benadryl, and it goes away.
Wow.
And just a segue, remember Dave, I was telling you and Sam that I found a pre-workout that is way better than Morphogen and Triggered brand.
Yeah.
Well, I want to show you guys this gem. You guys are going to like this.
Oh,
Have you ever seen this brand before?
So for anybody who's listening and not watching, P has just shown us the most popular pre-workout on the planet, C4.
And I didn't buy it because it's particularly good. I got my Adderall stolen out of my wife's car when I was in Miami, and I don't have a doctor's appointment until January. So I'm using that to kind of bridge. And this one actually only has 135 milligrams of caffeine. So for me, that's enough to give me a boost at the gym, but not to crash, and feel that hypoglycemic feeling. So I'm not expecting much out of it. It's just basically caffeine that tastes good that I can just drink a little bit before I go to the gym.
That's right. I forgot about this. So it literally has vitamin C, niacin. They add the niacin in there actually to give you like the itchy, tingly feeling. And that's why I forgot about that. They used to do this back in pre-workouts all the time. These add niacin in to give you like the itchy feeling. So you felt like it was stronger than it actually was. It has
They used to do that on every pre-workout, like all pre-workouts.
Back in the day, they used to always put it in there. Now it's kind of healthy at like a certain amount, but like they just put enough so you get itchy.
Now people feel that from the beta alanine.
It's interesting. It said something I was reading about early. Some individuals may experience a harmless tingling sensation, which is attributed to beta alanine.
Yep.
Yeah, but they don't even have a lot of beta alanine in there. It's only 1.6 grams. It's like hardly anything.
Because I think the dose that they've shown in research to work is like 3.2 grams, I think, which is like
3.2 grams is the clinical dose for. Is clinical dose 8 grams? I can't remember. It's 8 grams.
No, I think it's 3. I thought it was 3.2, but maybe it could be 8. Could have changed. I haven't looked at that in a while. The sodium pre-workout for me has been awesome. Like 800 milligrams of sodium to 900 milligrams of sodium pre-workout, as well as all the other shit I just mentioned, has been fantastic. To the
This
point
one,
where
they even underdosed the sodium. They only put 60 milligrams of sodium in here. They cheaped out on the salt.
I get like a you guys ever wake up in the morning and your hands are like tight?
Yeah. My wedding ring, when I wake up in the morning, like I struggle to take it off. But right now I can just take it off no problem.
That's when my hands get like in the gym with 800 milligrams of sodium. It's fine beforehand. I have the pre-workout and all the other stuff I'm doing. And then I'm drinking the sodium in terms of bone broth. And I get that in my feet tiny bit but you can't really notice it in your feet. But I definitely notice it in my hands for any type of like pull. Today I did back and you're pulling in my hands. I was like, oh, fuck. My hands were so incredibly tight.
I wanted to segue into, because we were talking about beta alanine. I was watching one of Greg Doucette's videos, and he was plugging turkesterone. I mean, he's not like plugging it the whole video, but you know what I'm saying.
Knowing Greg, he plugs it the whole video.
Well, it talks about it, but he was going off because people were saying that, he's selling turkesterone and no one knows the long-term results or, risks of it. And he was saying that there's basically like 4 natural PEDs. It was basically caffeine, creatine, beta alanine, and turkesterone / anyway. I don't want to get too much in his video, but I'm actually taking turkesterone. And disclaimer, I own this company. I'm not going to even put it out here, but I own this brand. So it's basically free for me. But I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts are on turkesterone, and then I'll let you know what my thoughts were. I've been taking it for probably over a month now.
So I've been doing a lot of research on turkesterone in particular. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good research out there, so it's based off of a lot of relative experience with it. And I was trying to find the most intellectual people in the world that I could actually look at. Turkesterone on paper is awesome, but there's no human studies yet. That's the thing. It's actually, and what is it? It's a phosphosteroid. Is that what it's considered?
Ectosteroid or extestosterone.
Okay. Yeah. So it like in those classification of steroids actually have not been ruled out by the Olympics at all. And they've looked into them extensively, maybe not deep enough yet, and they might ban them eventually, but they're actually like you can be an Olympic athlete and be on turkesterone. And from my relative research that so you have to look at the yield. 200 milligrams of turkesterone gives very similar results to 2.5 milligrams of anavar. And molecularly, if I'm not mistaken, it's almost, or no, this one isn't the one that is molecularly close to anavar, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I don't know. Tell me, what is that?
I had to look at.
I was putting up a picture of the chemical makeup, but I think it's on turkesterone or ectosterone. I can never say that. Is on the WADA watch list. Not banned, but it's on the watch list.
Interesting. Okay, so from like the research was like 200. If it yields, and you have to look at the yield ratios, 200 milligrams of actual pure turkesterone, not 500 milligrams, because that's not the yield ratio. Is about 2.5 milligrams of anavar is the results that most people are seeing, somewhere around there. So I am doing my experiment, and turkesterone happens to be one of the bases of my experiment. Remember I was talking about my experiment that I'm doing? That's one of the things that I am experimenting. And it's super interesting because you're talking about taking an anabolic that's not hitting androgenic pathways. So that's the beauty of it. And if it actually works and you can get those factors out of it, avoiding androgenic side effects, then it could be a good result. A good thing to look at for women. I don't think it's gonna there's a lot we can do a lot of androgens before we have issues, whereas a woman cannot. So I think that it may be very applicable for women. If it turns out to be as holy grail like as it looks like it is, which it does not, it's not like a SARM where people are like, oh, there's no side effects on SARMs. No, it still affects your hormones. It still binds it modulates the androgen receptors. This is not bind to an androgen receptor. It goes to the it's the beta estrogen receptor, if I'm not mistaken. And so it doesn't actually bind to the androgen receptors, but you get anabolic factor out of it. That's the really cool part to it. And there's a lot more that I'm taking right now in my experiment, but turkesterone is one of the bases of it. And I'm running labs before, during, and after probably in it, just to prove that it doesn't actually go through an androgenic pathway.
So with turkesterone, that effectively, because I haven't peeked. It's interesting to me, but I haven't gone down the rabbit hole yet. But my elementary understanding is that it increases protein synthesis, or that's kind of like the idea, which then allows you to build more muscle over time, or potentially reduces protein degradation, which then therefore would increase or allow you to have an increase in protein synthesis. What test could you do? Or are you testing something in protein synthesis? Well, I'm not sure what test you'd even do to measure that, because that would be something at some point. This is just an idea. Maybe we can work out this next year. Or if you guys who are listening to this find this interesting, let us know in the comments. But if we created a Patreon or something where we could say people could support, but then we could run different tests on things like turkesterone. Hey, you know what I mean? Where the supply is purchased, but then also the before and after tests are purchased because I think also a lot of times you need 3 grams of turkesterone, right? Is that what you guys have seen?
Well,
Plus, to notice the difference.
It depends on the yield ratio.
There's no clinical dose. So from what I've seen, so turkesterone, and just so if you're not familiar with turkesterone, basically this type of plant, they're exid steroids, whatever the fuck you say. I cannot say that word, but basically certain ones are derived from insect steroids.
Yeah.
So turkesterone and some of the other ones are from plant steroids. And you're thinking, oh, why do plants and insects have steroids? So I don't really look into the insect ones, but plant wise. So if a plant is under stress, like you chop off some of its leaves, half of its leaves, or if like insects are eating at it, it releases these plant steroids as like a defense mechanism. And basically what they've done with turkesterone and some of these other ones is they synthesize out that turkesterone from this plant. And like David was saying, it hits the estrogen receptors. It doesn't hit androgen receptors. So it's not suppressive to your hormones. I'll tell you my experience with it. I'm taking 2 grams a day. So I take a gram in the morning, a gram mid-evening. And I've noticed absolutely 0 side effects. It hasn't affected my stomach at all. That's one of the only reported side effects, is that if you take too much, it can like give you like diarrhea or gas or upset stomach. I haven't gotten any of that. So, I mean, I haven't done any scientific testing. I do feel slightly stronger in the gym, slightly. And that's what I think a lot of people report, is that they feel stronger. Now, whether that turns into actual gains, muscle gains, I'm not 100% sure. I've only run it for a month. I would say it's similar to creatine in not exactly the same way, the benefits, but similar, I guess, in results. If I was 16 years old and I was choosing between creatine and turkesterone, I would start off with creatine because it's cheaper. It's proven. But if I had the money, I would probably do both. If I was natty, I mean,
question for you on that, and then a question for Dave. How you've been at 2 grams this entire? You said 30 days, 40 days, or something. You've been testing
for the most part. When I remember to take the second pills, and when I remember to take them on weekends.
Okay. And then Dave, what you said, it's kind of like the base of this non-hormonal or non-steroidal test that you're running right now, turkesterone. What's your dose, and are you titrating, or what do you do?
Yeah, so Pete, I'm really curious. What is the yield ratio? What is a true turkesterone that you're taking?
10%.
10%. So you're looking
That's standard.
So you're looking at getting 200 milligrams of turkesterone as a whole. So that's why I wanted to clarify with people. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm taking a 2,000 milligrams of turkesterone at a 40% yield ratio. So I'm taking 4 times more than Pete right now.
What was that? Sorry, I missed it. You said something. The numbers I just completely missed. Go ahead.
I'm taking the same amount of turkesterone, which is 2,000 milligrams, but the yield ratio is 40%, whereas Pete's was 10%. So I'm actually taking 4 times more actual turkesterone than Pete right now. So it's 800 milligrams of pure turkesterone. However, I have someone else that's doing the experiment, who's a woman, which you probably already know who it is. And she is doing we're doing a titration method with her in 200 milligram markers. Well, it's a little bit higher than that because it's impossible to get to that. But that's essentially our starting point, that we're doing titration with her because we want to prove that it's non-androgenic. And the testing, like you said, I'm not testing my androgenic or my anabolic pathways and stuff like that. I'm looking at straight from a hormone standpoint to prove that it does not affect your hormones. It is non-androgenic. That is the important piece to me. Now, I'm sure that there's other blood tests and stuff like that we could run to look at. But ultimately, the most important thing is it's not suppressive and it doesn't affect other hormones.
So how long have you been testing so far?
I'm only a weekend, man. I think I got it last Friday, so I'm like 4 or 5 days in. No reported results. I can tell you that, because I'm coming off of surgery also, right? So I'm a week into surgery. I'm getting a little bit more veins coming through my system, which was going to happen anyways. Some of the extra fluid from the surgery is coming out. So it'll really I should start noticing a difference after a month where I'm not really getting those newbie gains anymore. Actually, probably half a month, probably. I should start where the newbie gains slow down a little bit. And then I should start to see results from it. Because there's more variables that I have in there besides just the turkesterone, because it's for more of a longevity approach than anything else.
Just super interesting. We'll report. I'm going to have you guys report on your results in a future episode.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you're doing it, Pete, too, because we started around the same time frame. So that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm not taking that crazy amount, but also one of the products that I have, I'm not gonna plug my brand, but I have liquid turkesterone suspended in MCT oil. That's 500 milligrams per milliliter. The idea is that it's more bioavailable, but there's no research, so I can't claim that 100%. But from people I've talked to, they said they really liked it. But this is like the supplement industry doing like clinical trials, where it's not scientific. It's just basically like we're taking it and telling you how we feel. From what I've seen for turkesterone, it seems like you either will respond to it or not. Like certain people don't respond to it. From what I've seen, it's like a 70-30 ratio. Like for me, I feel a little bit stronger on it, but some people say they take it and don't feel anything. It could also be the people that go to the gym and barely do shit. They just half-ass stuff and stare at their phone and just expect, turkesterone to bring them to that next level, or, grab this awesome C4 and, feel sick pumps, fucking vein splitting pumps.
That's
I don't know. No, go ahead.
No, it's very interesting. It makes me think about like what I'm testing right now. And I have this idea that, and I maybe briefly touched on it, but disease of almost all form kind of stems from inflammation of some form, whether it's a psychological or a physical type of disease, right? Whether it's like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or something like that, or something like a cancer or some other form in our body. There's some level of inflammation that continues, right? And inflammation is so incredibly powerful that like it happens when we get a cut or something to cause the response needed to heal ourselves. But if left unchecked, that festering of inflammation causes other issues. Think of like chronic pain that develops into something where you then surgery or some other more drastic measures needed to take care of that. That's like the foundation. And I'm on this path where I'll check again probably in the next year or so. My inflammation levels with the HbA1c, which is general inflammation throughout your body, but there's other tests you can do, because I think personally, I know people believe that you need inflammation to grow. However, I think that at a natural standpoint, like the most like barbaric standpoint, having less inflammation in our body in general is going to allow me to make better progress. Because some people think that like there's like arachidonic acid or other things out there that are pro-inflammatory, or like testosterone suspension, and people do that because they're like, oh, I get so much inflammation and then my fucking chest is bigger and it looks like I got a bigger chest from that. Right? And there's probably something to that, but there's so much inflammation in our body all the time. I think bringing that down over the course of, say, several months or a year to a very, 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 very low level will actually allow me to get the most benefit from the acute inflammation that I cause through intense training. Think of it like this is how I think of it. It's like if I was like, hey, can you guys go clean up your entire house while on a pogo stick around your whole house? And that's like you trying to do two completely different things. And our body is trying to deal with inflammation in our joint or our back or our organs or something, while at the same time trying to deal with inflammation caused acutely through training. So if I can reduce overall inflammation drastically, and I think that personally will allow me to make more progress in the gym. Plus, overall, from a longevity standpoint, I think it's an intelligent thing to do.
So I'm just going to talk to this at kind of like a high, quick level, because I could go into this for a while, this subject. Inflammation is the body's response to heal, period. That's what inflammation is. It's either blood vessels going to the area, white blood cells, whatever it may be, to heal or kill an infection, T cells, whatever. So inflammation tends to happen no matter what. And when you're talking full body inflammation at a systemic level, that is probably going to be the thing that puts you down eventually. That's why like systolic, like blood pressure, that increases inflammation through the body, increased blood glucose, increases inflammation through the body. It also kills your organs literally over time, like it kills off tissue. So reducing inflammatory markers is from a longevity standpoint, is like the biggest thing. That's why BPC 157 is so phenomenal. And I'll drop Triggered in there too. He has MCT oil on his product line, and it actually killed my elbows. But
here's
BPC
a coupon code for it.
Yeah,
for Brandon.
So we'll just shameless plug him on this. But so when you're talking about like recovery, you want to basically recover as quickly as you can to get back after it. So you want to reduce that inflammation, because that means the body is healed. So the inflammatory response is basically like you telling your body that you're healing. I'm not ready to do anything again. I'm start recovering, and then it goes down. So yes, increasing recovery will also reduce the inflammation in the body. But when you're talking about longevity, you want to reduce inflammation systemically throughout the body to the best of your ability. When you're trying to build muscle, it's very counterintuitive, because you want to cause trauma to the body to cause an inflammatory factor to get the nutrients going to that area to recover it. So from a muscle building standpoint, inflammation is relatively good. It's kind of like looking at growth hormone versus IGF-1, where growth hormone actually has like almost inflammatory property or anti-inflammatory properties, whereas the IGF-1 would have inflammatory recovery properties of some sort. One is great for growth hormone, is great for longevity. IGF-1 is terrible for longevity. So there's like that weird catch-22 at all times that's happening through the body. Like we call that checks and balance system at all times. But overall, if you focus on longevity and you care about your health, focus on anti-inflammatory diets. That's why the Blue Zone diets are the best diets in the world. They are massive anti-inflammatory diets. And that's what literally every one of my clients is going to be on, is some type of anti-inflammatory diets. And also you're talking about gut health and autoimmune diseases and cancer and stuff like that. It reduces that down, because you're not going to constantly have to recover and replicate poor cells. And that's what cancer is a bad DNA replication.
I want to kind of jump in, just something kind of random, but it kind of ties in here a little bit. So anyway, so my wife is switching careers. So she has a lot of stuff that she has to do at night on top of working, all this other stuff. So she was like, why don't we, instead of watching TV at night, why don't we both read for at least an hour a night? And I was like, I used to do that and I just kind of fell out from it. So just randomly, I freaking got my old tablet out, factory reset it, loaded some books on there, and I've been reading at night. I'm reading a book called Optimize Under 35. It's just kind of a general like TRT, but also like optimizing your life, like a lot of stuff that we were talking about. And I was just reading, he was talking about fish oils and different, and he was basically breaking down the like different omega-3, omega-6, and a lot of the store brand stuff sits on the shelves for too long, and it's got too much of the omega-6, which is inflammatory. So he was recommending cod liver oil with that had D3 and K2 in it. That's what he uses. So that's how I tied this into the whole anti-inflammatory thing. And I'm really enjoying reading at night, and I feel like I'm smarter. And the shit that I actually watch some decent like documentaries and like nature shows to relax, but the majority of people are watching fucking garbage, Dancing with the Stars, The Masked Singer, like mindless shit that does not make you any better in life. It's shit that you'll never even remember that you watched it, but you spent a whole hour on it.
Dave, you were about to say something. Go ahead, and then I want to.
Remember, I was talking about Morpho Omega. It is a omega that will not spoil because it's powdered omega. So you get 1.2 grams of EPA and DHEA. And then you also get the D3 and K2 in it, D3 and K2 in it. So it's basically non-spoiling. And that's the reason why I stick with that one. And it has everything that I need to in it. My code's David 10, by the way. But either way, that's the reason why I brought it up, is actually the spoiling. Even cod liver oil can spoil. I actually like krill oil a lot. That's better than normal fish oil. And then a D3 K2 supplement's phenomenal. But let me preface, because I think I said this on the last episode. If you have blood clotting issues, do not take vitamin K. Okay, done.
Krill oil is also better than omega-3 for the cholesterol benefits, independent of like the anti-inflammatory related responses. But as you were talking, I had something in my mind and I completely forgot what it is. Oh, you had mentioned that your wife brought that up to read for an hour before bed. I think that is a fucking amazing idea, where I actually don't own a television. I haven't owned a television in 12 or plus years. Back in 2009 was the last time I had a TV. And I've got 2 books. So I read probably 1 or 2 books per month, but that's like the reading at nighttime is different than the reading that I do, like whether I'm reading a study or something like that. And ways you're like, oh, hey, I feel smarter, right? But it's because you are. But the real benefit, in my opinion, from doing what you're doing is the aggregation. I call it the aggregation of marginal gains. So when you have your tax rate, and it's like, say 22% if you're at $80,000 or whatever it is, right? And then you go to the next tax bracket. That is what your marginal rate is, right? All of those marginal gains you get from, going through 20, 30 more pages of material that somebody else spent either a day or years putting together and learning and then synthesizing it in a way that's intelligently thought out and very thoughtful. You're putting that all in there, and as you do that every single day over the course of the next, year, 2 years, 10 years, you are like completely changing yourself and the information that is here, because this is the most important. I'm pointing at my head for anybody who's listening. The tool you have between your ears is by far the most important tool and the most powerful tool you will ever use. And so many people feed that tool trash, and then they wonder why they don't live the life that's in the dreams between their ears.
So Bill Gates actually said if he could have one superpower, it'd be to read faster. Because I think he would have that book club thing where he would post like the 3 books a month that he read or something like that, or 5 books a month, something like that. I forgot what it was, and he'd always post it publicly, like what books he read that month. So that was pretty cool. I think that's awesome, Pete. I think Caroline and I did something similar earlier on in the year, and then I kind of phased out when I was working, like, no joke, 80, 90 hours a week, and I'll probably be working till midnight tonight and have to pack for Orlando tomorrow.
Oh, I'm more of a life thing. Dave, how is you just closed your new house and you also just quit or got fired from your last job for poor performance, right? Oh, wait a minute, did you say that? I don't know if we mentioned that publicly or not. So how is that going?
Yeah, so my contract ended for everyone. Like, I didn't get fired. And it's been, I'd probably say the biggest change for me, and you and Pete are going to relate to this, like, hands down. Like, I'm pretty sure I've heard you guys almost talk about it, is waking up and not having to open up your laptop and be like, if I don't open my laptop within 5 minutes, my boss or someone that I'm working with is going to be hitting me up like, hey, where is this dude? And I like that subconscious feeling, and the de-stress feels like I'm out of prison, actually, is literally how it feels. And it's a sense that I still haven't gotten quite a grasp on, because it's been the last how many years of my life. So the sense of freedom is changing on how my heart beats, no joke. And that's the only way I can say it. It feels like I am everything that I'm passionate about, I can be more passionate about. So I feel like I'm radiating more energy lately, just because it's like, and it's a slow process. Like, I still can't grasp actually that I feel like I'm out of a jail cell. And that being said, it's amazing and almost overwhelming to me. But I had like those pieces moving that I was talking about, social media and the YouTube channel and everything like that. And I finally got my head grasped around. I was like, I can do so much with my time right now. And it's been awesome. As far as the house goes, I had a show this weekend with my pro and 2 guys that I had to qualify for nationals, and then I fly down to Orlando. So we haven't even started moving stuff into it. We don't have a lot of stuff, but it's going to be a one and day kind of thing to shift everything in there. Building out the offices will take a little bit of time, but overall, we just got a contractor in the house the other day. We're getting quoted on basically redoing the first floor and renovating it. And if the price comes back all right, we'll probably renovate the whole first floor.
Wow, and wait on that. Hey, if you had mentioned social media. What is one thing that you do that seems to yield results? Do you guys test stuff on social media like we do in bodybuilding and drugs and compounds? What's something that you do? Because this would be interesting, like a quick tip that we could share in every episode, so that we could all learn from each other, but also we can share that with the audience if they have the interest in understanding more of that social dynamic of how to grow a business, right? Because I work for myself. You guys both work for yourself now at this point, and I'd be curious to learn from you guys and what you see is working.
I'll tell you straight up, I have no idea. My YouTube channel fucking sucks. I just see, like, how can I say this? I see fucking channels that put out stupid, fucking ridiculous content that get like 400,000 views in an hour. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not taking away from their hard work and dedication. It's not from, but it's annoying to me on YouTube and social media that I see stupid shit getting millions of views, whereas videos like Dave, where he's giving, information on how to work out and nutrients and gut health, and you're doing videos of like all these cool studies and different peptides and different tests. And, people don't want to learn on social media. They just want to be mindlessly entertained. And I'm not going to say I don't do this. I don't click on every fucking science video and watch it. Like, I watch Cletus McFarland. I watch them do cars. I'll watch gun videos and stuff. But I don't know. Little disheartening. And I think it goes back to, like, people don't want to sit there and read for an hour a night. They just want to watch The Masked Singer or, watch celebrities like Kim Kardashian. So it's a little disheartening that kind of the stuff we do, outside of More Plates, More Dates and Greg Doucette, I mean, there's not really going to be too many people that do a lot of sciencey shit that are going to become popular. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an angry YouTuber. I don't know.
I mean, your YouTube, you have to look at it this way. Like, you do put out really good content, by the way. And then two, you have 17 times or 18 times more subscribers than I have. I just started building out my channel, but you have a decent amount of subscribers there. And unfortunately, the science side of it does not get as much growth. But it's weird because some science people get a lot. If you have a title sometimes it's attached to it, you blow up just because, like, oh, he has a PhD, or oh, they're a medical doctor. And because they have that, everyone believes everything they say. And it could just be like a one-off study kind of thing. And it could popularize them, like ketogenic diets. The dude's super popular. Or Atkins, right? People like extremes and stuff like that, and people like drama. So it is what it is. I'm trying to build a legitimate channel that's going to actually benefit people from a standpoint of performance enhancement and longevity, all the way down to training, all the way down to nutrients, all the way down to gut health and holistic. And because my focus is longevity and helping as many people that I can. And it will grow. And I have no doubt that I'm going to get traction, but I'm also meshing in the coaching aspect of it in peak weeks and training athletes and stuff like that, which is more mainstream. So I assume that I'm going to grow that way. Now, as far as like testing stuff out, so for Instagram, for instance, what it was for me, how my page started growing pretty rapidly organically again, is one day I just put a post on my story. Like, I would just like kind of like, it was like not venting, it was venting without being negative, because everything I posted very positive. And people were like, oh my gosh, yes. And I got like 40 to 50 DMs on this one. I was like, all right, screenshot, posted to my page. And it still got like 400, 500 likes. And meanwhile, my engagement was way down. It was like in the hundreds or something like that. I'm like, okay, let's try this again without posting to my story first. So I did the same exact thing I did for my story with completely different wording, obviously, and posted to my page. And it got like 700 to 800 likes, and it got 600 shares. And then I was like, okay. And people were actually reading what I was typing. And that is completely different than what you see. If you can have people that read what you say and believe what you say, and you can build a community around that, and that people just understand it. If you can relate to people, that's what builds a community. If you're relatable, and building a community is the only thing that matters on social media. The amount of following you do not have. For instance, there was a campaign I was actually a part of, and I actually had to put my page to private. It's currently on private right now. I'm about to make it public at 8:00 once I'm funneled through all this stuff. I had probably 3,000 to 4,000 people that tried to follow me, and I immediately put my page to private when I realized everyone was coming up from literally just Brazil. And I'm like, nope. And I was like, I immediately like was like, I'm out. Delete. I'm not letting anyone follow me that was trying to follow me, because that's not the community. That's not my community. I don't want that. I want people to come to me for me. And whether it happens or not, it's irrelevant, because that's what I want to put out into the world. And even if you can touch one life, that's one life that you've helped out. And at the end of the day, that's why we're on this planet, is to help as many people that we can. So that's my standpoint, is I don't really care. But as far as from a marketing tactic, there was one thing that just hit a lot of people and like down to a core. And I just posted to my page and it blew up. And then I did it again and it was very relatable. And then I kept posting things that were just like, sometimes it was almost like me venting, but it was in a very positive manner. Like, hey, this is what things that you should kind of think about. It just helps people like think and relate. And people are like, thank you for posting the content. I get so many people messaging me, thank you for posting the content that you do. People charge for the information that you're putting out there. I'm like, like, I don't need to charge for it. Like, people, like, helping people like gives me fulfillment. I don't need to make money off of it. And I was like, to be honest, the best businesses are built off of helping others, probably because you saw an issue in the world and you want to fix whatever that issue is and make the world a better place. And you get money back in return. Like, people are going to be like, hey, can you coach me, kind of thing, like whatever, like it comes back in tenfold at the end of the day, and you feel better about yourself. So I'm not going to do stupid stuff just to grow.
No,
I'm going to share. So YouTube actually just sent out the, your year in review for my channel. I'm sure they did for all channels, and it's interesting statistics. So I had, I think 300,000 views this year. Now, what do you think that turns into money-wise?
A big donut.
Wait. Is your channel monetized?
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah, on YouTube. It's monetized. It's about $3,000.
Oh, that's
for 300,000 views.
For 300,000 views.
$3,000.
Yeah.
How much time
watching it? It's about a penny a view on average.
But the other thing that is not mentioned is that the peripheral things that also generate income that people don't realize until you start working for yourself, whether it's your own brand or affiliate links or coaching or 1,000 other things, creating relationships with people that also brings value, whether it's monetary or not. Something that I literally just noticed within the last 2 days, I shared something that I used to view as kind of a negative, that I didn't have the money to buy a car, and I rode a bicycle 10 miles. Probably why my calves are awesome. I rode a bicycle 10 miles to work every day because I didn't have money for a car, in the pouring rain, and I was single speed. So it wasn't like I had multiple gears to go up. This is in Hawaii, up these mountains and stuff in Hawaii. If you've ever been or know a lot about Hawaii, it rains pretty often. And I would have to put my clothes in a backpack and then a double bag with plastic. And I shared that. And the story shift, where it was very, like you were talking about, building the community of people that, know, like, trust you, or whatever it is, right? Going through and sharing that, the amount of engagement I got on that versus some of the other stuff, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm definitely going to go more down that route. But then on a more macro level, what's the over-indexing? If you guys are not doing this, highly recommend it. Over the last 28 days on one of my channels, I've got over 100,000 views from doing this. And I'm not doing oh, you put a fucking pussycat in the fucking corner of your thumbnail. It is shorts on YouTube. So YouTube has your regular videos, and most of those are horizontal or landscape. And then they have vertical or portrait. Just over the last 60 minutes, I've got 2,000 views just over the last 60 minutes, which is astonishing for me, right? And
it's basically YouTube's TikTok.
Correct. But what's happening right now on YouTube is their YouTube Shorts is nobody's utilizing it. So there's a fuckload of eyeballs and not enough content. So what happens? You collect a lot more eyeballs than you otherwise would have because the competition is so low. There was one day I think I had 17 or 20,000 for me, which is a channel I started in April, 20,000 views in one day from YouTube Shorts. If you guys are posting video form on Instagram. I repurpose it to YouTube Shorts, and it is doing fantastic. It's over-indexing. Like, this is what I saw on TikTok 18 months ago, before my channel got deleted, where I would get hundreds of thousands of views per week. Same thing is happening with YouTube Shorts. Highly recommend. Vertical, less than 60 seconds long.
So you're actually absolutely right. But wait, you can do 60 seconds in Shorts? I thought that it was only if you record with an app. I can only do 15-second Shorts.
Okay, so don't use the app on YouTube. I just use either the Instagram stories, or I literally just film it on my phone, and you can do up to 60 seconds.
But you have to film it. You literally have to film it, though.
You don't have to film it. I will film it. I mean, like, what do you mean by film it? Does it have to be video or fiction?
Whenever I've done Shorts, it limits it to 15 seconds. Even if it's a video I go to post, it will crop it down.
Okay, it can be up to 60 seconds long. So what happened is the algorithm, right? Like, I've done YouTube since 2013, not consistently, but back in the day, I would put out several videos per year. And if I put out a portrait video that was shorter, they would actually downregulate that in the algorithm. And they were like, people watch horizontally, right, in landscape mode. So what they've done is actually changed it, and they've separated it to its own segment now. And so videos that are less than 60 seconds long in that actually get promoted. So if you do 60 seconds, I literally have it filmed on my phone, and then I upload it to their I tried one at 1 minute and 6 seconds, and it didn't work. And if you look up the definition of YouTube Shorts, it's basically less than 60 seconds long. Highly, highly, highly recommend this. This is the best month I've ever had on YouTube. Over the past 28 days, I've had over 100,000 views.
Here's an interesting. So YouTube's hit me up about doing their shorts, and we probably have to wrap up this episode. But I did one a while ago, and it was basically how to fix America. And it was like, if all of the billionaires basically bought one-way tickets for people that hate America, then they would be fantastic. Like, we'll fly you to whatever fucking country you want. Just, you can't come back. But that video has gotten 1,200 views. It's 7 views in the last 48 hours. I lost 1 subscriber, and they paid me 1 penny.
So that's what I noticed about 45 days ago, 60 days ago. I posted 1 or 2 shorts, and I looked back at the data, and I was like, wait a second, these videos are getting literally 10 times the, say, 6 to 10 times the amount of views as the regular videos I was posting. And maybe it's because it's science-based versus more like little snippets. And I was like, let me try this. Let me start putting out more shorts and see if I can tell a difference. And that was probably 30 days ago. And since then, I've been working at doing 3 to 10 shorts per day. And it is incredible. Like, I had 1 8-second clip of me talking about my journaling and writing your goals down every day, and showing I live in Florida, so I guess people are mesmerized by palm trees. And I was sitting by a palm tree and showed the palm tree, and that got 25,000 views, like, within the first week.
Wow. Well, I think we got to wrap this one up. Guys, if we don't see you, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, we don't care. We just hope you have a good one. So check us all out on social media. Look up David Demesquita on YouTube. On Instagram, he's dynamite_D. Check out Sam Stolt on YouTube and Instagram. You can find me at Test Your Levels on both YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, which I abandoned, so don't go there. But anyway, guys, have an awesome holiday season. We will see you here next time on the Too Much Test podcast. Tell your friends. We're trying to grow here.
Merry Christmas. Hey, I hope you guys also have an amazing holiday. I'm sure I'll talk to you before Christmas. But
yeah, happy holidays, everyone.